Understanding decimals. Adding and subtracting decimals. Here we've got 11.71 add 7.89. First step is to place the numbers correctly. So here we go, make sure that each number is in its appropriate column. Fill any gaps with zeros. In this case we don't need to. Step 3, complete the column addition. So 1 add 9 in the hundreds column equals 10 hundredths, so we have to carry the 1 over to the tenths column. So we place the 0 down in the hundreds column and we move the 1 over to the tenths column. So 1 add 7 add 8, we get 16 tenths. So we have placed the 6 in the tenths column and we carry the 1 over to the units column. Do not forget about the decimal place. Now in the units column we have 1 add 7, we have 9, and in the tens column we have 1. And our result is 19.60. 11.71 subtract 7.89. First step, place the numbers correctly. Make sure that each of those numbers is in its correct column. Fill any gaps with zeros. Step 3, complete the column subtraction. Now in this case we have to look at each column and make sure that the numeral above the one that is at the bottom is higher. So for example, in the hundredths column we've got 1 is lower than 9, which means we have to carry another value or 1 over from a higher column. So let's have a look at the column on the left, which is the tenths column. We have 7 over 8. We need that 7 to be greater than 8 in order to subtract it. So again we have to carry a value from the units column. Again we have 1 over 7. So now we have to carry a 1 from the tens column. So now we're carrying the 1 from the tens column. And because we have to do the same all the way down to the hundreds column, we have to keep continuing to carry that 1 until we get to that column. And this is the process. We keep carrying the 1, and now we're there. So now we can simply go 11 subtract 9 is 2, 16 subtract 8, which is 8. Do not forget the decimal point. 10 subtract 7 in the units column, and we have 3. So therefore our solution is 3.82. Multiplying and dividing decimals by powers of 10. 12.37 multiplied by 100. Here we've got 12.37. Now on paper what we would do is we'd physically move the decimal point. But in practice, the decimal point does not actually move. This is what actually occurs. And it moves 2 places because there are 2 zeros in 100. So therefore, our solution is 1237. For 12.37 divided by 100, the process is in the opposite direction. So now what we do is we slide our values 2 places and we end up with 0.1237. Now you'll notice now with the arrows it shows where you would actually place your decimal point physically on paper. And now our solution will be 0.1237. Multiplying decimals. 5.43 multiplied by 8.1. Step 1, ignore the decimal points. Okay, but remember how many there are. Step 2, place the numbers correctly. Okay, so make sure In this case, we have the units in the units column, the tens in the tens column, and the hundreds in the hundreds column. Step 3, complete the column multiplication. So now we start from the units column. 1 multiplied by 3 is 3, 1 multiplied by 4 is 4, and 1 multiplied by 5 is 5. Now we go down to the tens column, so we have to place a 0 in the units column, and then we do the same process again. 8 threes, we have 24, place the 2 in the tens column. 8 fours, we have 32, add 2, you get 34, place the 3 in the hundreds column. 8 fives is 40, add 3, you got your 43. Now what we have to do is do addition. So column addition, we have 3, 8, 9, 4 and 3. Now overall, because we have a total of 3 decimal places, we have to start from the right and count 3 places. And our solution ends up being 43.983. Dividing decimals, short division. 23.12 divided by 0.4. Here we have the dividend and the divisor. 23.12 and 0.4. Now as you can see, what we have to do is multiply both of these values by 10 to make sure that the divisor is an integer or whole number. So now we have 231.2 and 4. Step 2, place the numbers correctly. So the divisor goes on the outside, the dividend goes on the inside. And now we have to find our quotient. So how many 4s go into 2? And this process is known as short division. Okay, the solution there is 0. But then we have to bring the 2 to the tens column. So how many 4s go into 23? 5. How many remainder? 3. How many 4s go into 31? 7. What's the remainder? 3. How many 4s go into 32? 8, and do not forget that decimal point. So now our solution is 57.8. Now dividing decimals, long division. So this is another process you can use. We start again, 231.2 divided by 4. Step 1, divide the divisor by the first integer. So how many 4s go into 2? We have 0. Step 2, multiply the quotient by the divisor. So the quotient there was 0, multiply that by 4, which is 0. Now we subtract that result. Now this step could be skipped because the solution there is just 0. So now step 4, we bring the next integer down. Okay, and 2 subtract 0 equals 2, and we bring down the 3. So as you can see, we still have that 23 there. Now we repeat the process until we finish with a remainder of 0, or as far as you want to go. So how many 4s go into 23? We have 5. 4 5s is 20. Okay, we do the subtraction where we get 3, we bring down the 1, where we get 31, and we do the process again. 4 7s is 28, we subtract that, we get 3, we bring down the 2. Okay, how many 4s go into 32? We have 8, don't forget that decimal place. 4 8s is 32, we subtract them, and our remainder ends up being 0. So therefore the solution ends up being, again, 57.8.